Rebecca Payne. I'm a portfolio GP and I've been working at doing video consults for the last 3 years. And I also teach communication skills to medical students. This is the first of a series of videos looking at video consults, and it's the absolute basics of what do you need to get started doing video consults. So firstly, what do you need? Well, this is my space at home where I consult from. This is the view I see. It's very messy. It is my former downstairs loo, where I have removed the toilet and the sink to make the smallest office you can imagine. I'll talk a bit more later about what the patient sees, but I just want to point out a few key features here. So obviously you need a computer with a webcam. You can see 2 screens here and 2 webcams. The one I use for the video consults is that small laptop there, and I find that the camera that comes out of there gives the best view. Now you can also mount another camera on the top of the screen and connect it through a USB. I feel that gives a really funny view, but it is probably a lot better for your spine, not sort of being crunched over a laptop, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. The next thing that's really important is a headset. I use the one you can see on top of the laptop there. It works really well. They're not expensive. You can get them off Amazon. But if you can't procure one, you might want to consider a mobile phone headset plugged into the speaker and microphone section of your laptop. I used that for about a year. It gave reasonable quality, but this proper headset is so much more comfortable. The other thing is the mouse. Again, in the interests of your well-being, it's much better to use the mouse than the trackpad on the computer. And then that designated place to work, I think, is so vital, because actually when you're working from home, it's easy for home to extend into work, and you never get that psychological separation between the two. Now, not everybody can take out their downstairs loo, but if you have to work in the corner of your bedroom or your living room, what I'd really recommend is just doing something simple like putting a throw over stuff at the end of the day so that you've visually separated that workspace. It's just so much better for you and your well-being. And in terms of your comfort, other things that are really helpful, I use a mouse pad with a wrist support, a thermos mug, because otherwise those cups of tea get cold between consultations. And it's really easy to get yourself quite cold as well, because unlike normal practice where you're walking around calling people in, actually just sitting for long periods of time, you'll get cold really quick. So I wear fingerless gloves, so it's easy to type, and I actually have a hot water bottle and a blanket that I'm still using at this time of year. They're little things, but actually they can make all the difference. So when it comes to setting up the computer, we've already talked a bit about the webcam position. And if you have the option to have split screens, it is so helpful. So having the consulting software on one and then browser access on the other. It's not always possible, and it's fine scrolling between the two, but I just find it makes life easier. The other thing that's helpful is actually popping tabs along the top of your browser for the sites you commonly use. So on mine, I've got the BNF, I've got a link to a calculator for the fever pain score, to the PHE UTI guidance, to patient.info for information leaflets, and the PHQ-9, because I find that really helpful in the online setting. But whatever you use frequently, and particularly any decision-making tools that you'd be taking the patient through, again, just pop them up there as tabs or add them to your favourites, because what you don't want to be doing is scrabbling around trying to find them while the patient is on the call. And then think about what the patient can see. So a blank wall is best if you can manage it, but my pictures and my handmade tiles by me in a ceramics class make me happy. And I like seeing them in the back of the picture, so I leave them there. The important thing though, and particularly if you're consulting against bookshelves, is to make sure there's no family photos or details of your address or other personal information visible behind you, just to keep you and your family safe. Do dress smartly and look professional. I appreciate I'm in my fleece here. Like I say, I get really cold, so I do prefer to wear it, but it is more professional to wear what you'd wear in the surgery, certainly on your top half. Now, there's an argument to be had about, do you need to get dressed at all? Can you just pop a smart shirt on over your pyjamas? And I have consulted like that occasionally when running very late. But really, it is better to get up, get washed, and dress smart and get yourself in that work mode. Again, it helps create that separation between your home life and your work life, even though you may still be working in your home environment. Now, lighting is an interesting one. This photo was taken around midday. It was quite bright. I didn't need anything other than the normal light on in my tiny office. However, I do also have a UV light I use to stop me getting sad disease and be happy in the winter. And if it's a dark day, actually having that on, shining on my face, will really enhance the quality of the image for the patient, because otherwise you can look a little bit dark. You can achieve the same with a desk lamp, but obviously having it in your eyes is not always helpful. So just think about the position of lighting and play around until you find something that works, being aware you might not need it all the time, but you don't want to be vanishing into the background. The next thing is not to obsess about the camera. When I started doing video consults, there was this little panel with me in at the bottom. I found it really distracting. It does get easier with time, but do try and ignore it. And the final thing is, you can see at the top of that picture a little lock on the door, because my dog knows how to open the sliding door with her nose and can walk in, as do children and other family members. Do think about how you're going to maintain patient confidentiality, and you may want to put a lock on the door or something else to just stop people walking in. And then I finally want to talk about your well-being and communication with other team members. Do consider and formalise how you'll contact others during the team when you're working remotely doing video or even telephone consults. For example, you may already have systems to send tasks through the consulting software or elsewhere. But if that's not your common practice, if you would go out of your office with a to-do list or have people popping in and out, that's clearly far less feasible. So just formalise the processes, write a protocol so everybody is clear how it's going to work. Stay warm, stay hydrated, and take regular breaks away from the screen. Again, it is so easy to just be scrunched up over a laptop all day, and it's so bad for you. And try and set up an ergonomic space that works for you. So I've got a proper office chair and a table at the right height. That's not going to be possible for everybody, but just think about it. How can you make sure that you're not creating musculoskeletal problems for yourself? So that's a very quick whiz through of how to get set up to do video consults. And in later videos, I'm going to be talking more about the communication side of it, how to make the most of the technology, what it works for and what it doesn't work for. So if you found this helpful, or if you found this completely irrelevant because it's not covering those other areas, please watch the next video. Thanks.